Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Dee again, and welcome to the Interstate with Dee. Today is Saturday, February 22nd, 2025. Welcome back to our trip on the Interstate. What we do here is present news from the state level that will end up having national importance later, or news that made it into the national news cycle but was overshadowed. Then we go over some questions from y'all. On this date, February 22nd, in 1889, the Enabling Act was signed into law. It provided the framework for the eventual admission of North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, and Washington into the United States, but the admissions didn't occur until November. Okay, and on to the news. In Alabama, a grand jury indicted 4 cops, the police chief, and one of their spouses for a wide range of alleged offenses. It also recommended that the Huntsville Police Department be completely abolished. Also in Alabama, Boeing looks to be cutting jobs in Huntsville due to Trump cuts. Alaska Senator Murkowski, a Republican, said the mass firing of federal employees violated the law. She said that Trump's attempts to withhold congressionally approved funding, quote, cannot be allowed to stand. California's Yosemite National Park is facing a staffing shortage caused by seemingly random cuts to the personnel from D.C. Elsewhere in California, the Trump administration is targeting the Presidio Trust for some reason. The trust manages San Francisco's Presidio. By all accounts, it's a model of efficiency. There's been some suggestion that he thinks this gets back at Nancy Pelosi somehow. Colorado is slowly moving forward with a ban on some semi-auto weapons. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell has announced he will retire and will not seek re-election in 2026. This was widely anticipated. In Missouri, the State House granted approval for the state to take over the St. Louis Police Department. Montana lawmakers rejected a proposed ban on mRNA vaccines. In Nevada County, California, tiny houses are going to be allowed in an effort to address affording housing. New York's governor has indicated she will not remove the mayor of New York City, at least not yet, but has announced more oversight. North Dakota welcomed home Leonard Peltier, a Native activist who spent almost 50 years in prison. Ohio Republicans are trying to undercut voters and change the law they backed when it comes to recreational use of cannabis in the state. Oregon seems to be expanding access to gender-affirming care in defiance of Trump. 2 teen girls in Texas were reportedly taken into custody after law enforcement disrupted an alleged attempt on a school. The FBI was reportedly involved. Elsewhere in Texas, the estimates for the measles outbreak is up to 300. West Virginia is pursuing legislation to put the 10 Commandments in classrooms in the state. They, too, will end up in court over it. You know, it would seem like it would make more sense to let one state pay all the legal fees instead of these states paying the legal fees for the same fight in some kind of race to the Supreme Court. Wisconsin is seeing an Elon-backed group dump a lot of money into the Supreme Court race there in an attempt to shift the balance of the court. And here's your weird state fact for this week. South Dakota has a massive sculpture underway. It's of Crazy Horse. Think Mount Rushmore, but cooler. Okay, so moving on to the question and answer portion of the show. Question number 1. What does it mean you add the word reportedly in summaries? So when we say reportedly, we are taking the report of an outlet or several outlets and passing the information on to you with direct confirmation. So an example would be the AP or ProPublica report, Bob Johnson was indicted. If somebody on the team hasn't seen the indictment with our own eyes, we would say reportedly indicted. Just so you know, when we do this, it's always an outlet like those two with an incredibly high accuracy record. Question number 2. Why don't you have an oddities section? I have one every week. It's just under different states. It's normally South Carolina. Okay, that looks like it. We'll see you next week for another trip. Y'all have a good day.